No, I think that's us, bud. Rightio. I think we're live. I think we're off and racing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday night. It's Dean and Irv Spin Doctors. Welcome aboard to those of you who are regular viewers. Thanks for tuning in. And those numbers seem to fluctuate between the 300 and 500, 600 views across all platforms at the moment, which is very interesting. There is a certain amount of people that are very interested in.
I watch myself at least 10 times. That's 10.
Is that there? Okay, well that's fair play. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If that's the now I'm listening to myself there. Did you hear that?
See, there you go.
No, we just part of the trick with this is you've just got to edit the privacy on it, so that's done that way. Everybody at home gets to see and ride along with us on a show that's no longer called The Ride Along. But again, welcome everybody this evening. Of course, we're your hosts. We're going to do our disclaimers as usual for this little program. It is election time. It's election time in the city.
And if you're Chinese, it's an erection time.
An erection time. Erections. We have erections.
So that's really good for that.
The local government elections have basically kicked off to the tune of, we can all nominate now who choose to nominate. And those of you who choose to nominate, I commend you. I'll decide in the next 24 hours whether I'm going to file the paperwork just in case, because it's always good fun to be involved. And I might nominate just in case we get that little bit closer and I feel the need to really take the gloves off. I'll be in a position to do so, I suppose.
I think you should.
Look,
I really do.
I know you do, but as most people who know me know, I'm quite good at this. Punching sideways. I've never really punched down. I've always aimed up, and to be honest, I'm not sure if local council's my cup of tea. I don't really want to be, punching on arguably verbally and politically with a former deputy prime minister. That's sort of in my wheelhouse, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't know that I feel it. On that local level. But we're going to see, and I'll probably file a nomination. I have a feeling this bloke here sitting with me looking at his computer, chances I'm pretty sure he's already filled out the paperwork 90%. Just wants the green light to submit it. But ladies and gentlemen, everybody tuning in, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to be here, but the game has absolutely officially started. And we better do our disclaimers, Anthony.
Yes, my name's Anthony Irvine. I'm a councillor on Temora Shire Council. However, all the views I express here are my own and not that of Temora Shire Council.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dean McRae, and I express all my own views, and I don't represent necessarily anyone, particularly other than myself, with my views. Although I do know an awful lot of people agree with me, and it makes sense because I'm usually right. Did you know that?
Yeah, you've reminded me on many occasions.
Thought I was wrong once. Turns out I was mistaken. But look, all jokes and laughing aside with these sort of things, I do have a fairly strong political leaning. I'm fairly libertarian in my thoughts, attitudes, and actions. I like to back up things I say with the actions that I live. But we're here on this program, on YouTube, on Facebook, across multiple platforms. I think there's even links to my Twitter, to be fair, or X now as they call it, because we were banned from a local radio station that will not be named. We've given them all the free publicity we're going to give them at this stage. There have been a few reports filed.
Give them nothing.
Take them nowhere. I've taken them far enough.
Who?
But in lieu of that, of course, and this legacy media producing whatever spin they feel like when suits them, we created the Spin Doctors. So tonight we're going to dissect a little bit of
some of the spin.
We're going to cure some of the spin here from the Temora Independent.
Last week.
We got a couple of good results last week. Now Anthony's had a few interesting results this week that we're going to talk about. Some serious stuff's come out from ICAC. ICAC, for those of you who don't know, is the closest thing to an organisation that may or may not hold some of these bastards accountable, other than you and I, of course.
ICAC's got a very checkered history.
Doesn't it just?
Sometimes ICAC take the shillelagh to an individual prematurely and damage their reputation beyond repair. And it turns out that they've gone off
Off tap,
half-cocked,
prematurely.
at the election, and they've had some less than desirable outcomes, and there is some criticism that goes their way. Other times they do get some results. It's very difficult. The whole system seems to be politicised, and all of the oversight committees appear to be in that same realm. There's some serious criticism of the NAC at the moment regarding the handling of the Robo-Debt Royal Commission inquiry.
Which was a disgusting debacle, complete.
Yeah, so,
people died over that shit.
Yes,
and
but
it's not the first time
they delayed handing down the findings until the NAC was in place, and then they referred some of the matters to the NAC, and the NAC turned around and said, "Oh, no, we're not going to investigate."
Of course, business as usual. It's not the first time in recent history, even, where the government has lied and people have died. It's a seemingly ongoing thing.
While we're on that theme,
rock and roll. Let's get it. As far as I'm concerned, the people who committed suicide over all that robo-debt stuff, that's absolutely on our parliament and politicians and bureaucrats' hands.
I didn't have this on the radar, but Dom Perrottet came out.
Yes.
Valedictory speech to Parliament.
Yes, I saw a few posts about it.
And said, I'd like to find the exact terms, but he said
the COVID mandates should never have happened. Was there something along those lines?
And a bit like we trot all over people's human rights.
Which they did tread over everybody's human rights. Now, I've got a bit of a...
Well, I just say it's a little bit late, Doc.
Oh, look. So I've got some friends, John Ruddick, Ross Cameron, a few guys like that who are formerly very, very influential or involved in the Liberal Party hierarchies, who would declare Dom to be a very good guy. I've got some other friends who are less complimentary of Dom, basically describing him as a bit spineless and a bit shallow and, easy for the factions to bully. I've never met Dom personally, but you're a little bit late to come out and say the COVID mandates were a violation of human rights, because they were.
I don't think we're going to ever get away from the fact that these people are humans, and they've got partners, and they've got families, and they've got friends, and there's a human element to every one of these individuals.
Absolutely. That's at all levels of government. Yep. That's even non-government, even the bureaucrats.
But there's also this other element of them, stuff that's going on in Victoria at the moment.
Yep.
They're bringing in these really dystopian laws.
Bringing them in. They've been working on them for quite some time.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like, bye-bye Chairman Dan, welcome Chairman Worston Dan.
Oh, look, for sure. Absolutely.
But to some extent,
and then
Victorian councillors are jumping up and down because they're having rules imposed upon them that have been in New South Wales and Tasmania and states like that for a long time.
Yeah.
But pretty much, if you speak out in Victoria now, they're going to have the same sort of dysfunctional, dystopian system that exists in New South Wales, where they can find you guilty without any recourse to any natural process or any access to any sort of what you'd call justice, or an ability to defend yourself, or an ability to test the evidence.
Absolutely.
And
I'm very glad David Limbrick is still an elected member of Parliament in Victoria. Back to Dom. What did Dom have to say?
In short, Dominic Perrottet, this is from the ABC, so it's...
Well, they don't like Dom as a...
In the public domain.
Yeah,
okay, so we're not slandering anyone, we're not defaming. No. This is in the public domain.
Yeah.
In short, Dominic Perrottet said it was a mistake to force people in New South Wales to get vaccinated during the pandemic.
Correct.
Well, there's a fair few people who went through a hell of a lot of angst and pain and suffering, vilification, ostracism, negative behaviours directed towards them, a heap of really ugly narrative directed at them by the mainstream media.
Absolutely.
And yet here we are with an outgoing premier who did he take over from?
Oh, our girlfriend Gladys.
Gladys.
Yeah, little girlfriend. That's maybe a lot of the viewers will
No,
remember
she just
during
wanted to
that period.
cuddle. She just wanted to cuddle.
She was just in love, the poor
She
thing.
just wanted to
No,
cuddle.
I mean, during that period, it was the last federal election. I was down there on the stairs of the Temora Town Hall, handing out flyers for my little old me, going, I'm opposing all this bullshit, and vote for me, I'll stick it to them. Now, I might not have been able to stop them, but you can guarantee that if I'm in a factional room and some clowns like Dom has sort of alleged in some of his claims today, or, in his speech was that the theory was that he wasn't supported and he was sort of bullied to a certain amount, even though he did take some brave steps during that period. I'll give him that. There's no way I'm going to be in a factional room and support anything like that. Now,
it was wrong.
The whole thing was wrong
at every level.
Absolutely.
When you look at, I went to a really good presentation last night.
I was going to ask about this. Yes, with Frosty.
Yes, Jason Frost. It was fantastic. It was all about the Pro Patria Centre in Wagga, and we'll talk about this.
We'll talk about that for sure.
A little bit later.
Yeah.
But it was just unbelievable when you're talking about these mandates, this bullying, this whole, oppressive thing. It was just wrong on 1,000 levels.
A million levels. It was the largest wealth transfer in human history, where they basically raped and pillaged us.
They let multinational corporate global interests
override everybody else.
They shut small family businesses down.
McDonald's was open, but you couldn't go to the gym.
Yeah.
The pub was open, but you could buy booze.
You would have been able to go to the gym if Temora Shire Council had their gym open.
If they had their gym open, that would have been a different thing altogether. But you could go to the methadone clinic or a brothel, but you couldn't go to couldn't go to your local gym. Weren't allowed to walk in the park because you were going to perhaps die. What a load of rubbish. The whole thing was
Dom came out and said if the impact of vaccines on transmission was limited at best, as is now mostly accepted, the law should have left more room for respect of freedom. Oh, you don't say, Dom. It's a bit late.
Yeah, well,
we needed those sort of statements at the time, Dom.
Correct.
It means it's as weak as piss, really.
Of course, and they've all, look on the way.
Seriously, saying that shit after the fact.
Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out, Don.
You absolute genius.
All reports from people who I know, who I kind of like, say he's a really nice guy.
Probably.
They say he doesn't know how to function outside of Parliament,
well,
outside of the bosom of the Liberal Party, if you will.
He's taken a junket or some sort of a job whereby he's going to work for BHP in America.
Is that what it is? Yeah, right. Okay. Look, so
he's
now he's brave enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Okay.
Dom, you shit the bed at the time. You were still better than the rest of them, but that's only really comparing STIs.
I don't know whether, as an employer, I want someone who's going to tell me 5 years after something really important happens that they were wrong.
Let's be fair. As an employer
I want someone to tell me that something's wrong at that time.
So you can solve
or within a very short space of time.
You're not a multinational with millions and millions of shareholders and all that sort of stuff. You're an employer who actually has to talk to your employees. You can't just sack them and get rid of them. You've got to look at them. You look them in the eye. There's consequences for actions, and these types of things just don't fly that way. And
is there any hope, any prospect at all that any politician who remains in the House is going to take 2/10 of any notice of what Dom says on his way out? He says, if a pandemic comes again,
when next week when they roll one out,
we need to get a better balance.
Yeah, I can give them a balance.
Encouraging people to take action whilst at the same time protecting people's fundamental liberty.
Adam and Annie shot.
No. Dom said that.
Dom said that. Well, that's all right. You can have a shot for Dom.
Okay.
Dom's out the door. See you, Dom. Bye.
Like, that is just...
Look, it's spineless and it's gutless and it's endemic of why and we're in Liberal national.
It's like he's finished being an arsehole and it's like, see, I am a nice guy. Next time you see me, you'll think I'm a nice guy.
We're in Liberal national.
He just wants to make sure that when he retires, he can at least go to a golf club and get a golf membership.
Mate, look, and that's what it is. We're in liberal national heartland here, and I talk to people all the time who fundamentally agree with all my, oh, yes, shot, do it. They agree with all my policies, the ones that I stand by and I push. And, you know, I've been banging on about them in various levels of government for 15, 20 years now. And they haven't wavered because they do work. You know, like Milton Friedman is the economist that I most often read and align with. Now, if you don't know who that is, check him out. Smart guy, smarter than I am. And a lot of his financial philosophies seem to work. Thomas Sowell is a guy I read often.
Is he one of those unusual guys that said if you spend money, you got to pay it back? And
yeah. He was a guy who said, you know,
printing money's going to lead to inflation. Did he say that?
Yeah, he mentions things like that. You know, like
something along the lines.
If you increase, obviously, we mere mortals can't understand.
If you increase the money supply by 40% in a short period of time, there's going to be inflation. Did he mention that?
I believe one of his famous sayings is that, you know, if the federal government was in charge for the amount of sand produced, within 5 years there'd be a shortage of sand.
Yes.
You know, in the Sahara Desert.
Yes.
Like there'd be a shortage. How did that happen? You know,
well,
but very smart guy.
It is funny you say that because we've got an issue at the moment where it seems as though everyone's surprised that it smacked them in the face, but it seems to have been coming for 20 years. Anyway, like I say, it's just another one of those council moments where you just go,
oh, this isn't a Dom Perrottet moment.
No. This is a TSC moment.
Yeah, right. What are we?
No.
Are we running out of sand in the Sahara?
No, it's just one of those ones where you just go, well, it's an emergency, but
an emergency.
It's an emergency, but
what's our emergency currently?
No. Well, look, I'll
leave that for later next week. Oh, right. Oh, that's one of those ones.
Tell you after that.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Look, that's fair and reasonable.
It's kind of a bit funny how it snuck up.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to hearing that. I reckon the folks tuning in.
I want to sort of ask a few questions around how it actually took us by such surprise.
I think it's important. You've got to stop asking people questions.
Oh, that's true.
This question thing, you're going to end up with another code of conduct for question asking.
Well, has happened.
That's happened.
But
I
won't confirm or deny.
All this sort of shit is why I think it'll be quite funny. If I do, look, I'll probably put in a nomination. Whether I'll run or not, still yet to be decided. But I tell you what,
you can withdraw.
I'm going to chew up and spit out codes of conduct, like, you know.
Once you see who the stable of talent that you're against.
I mean, that's never been an issue, mate.
Not that you're competitive, but you might just go, I reckon.
It's never been an issue, that area, right?
Let's just see who is actually in the game.
Oh, is there actually the nominations are up?
The current nominations are up. Now, for anyone who wants to know who's nominated, you just go onto the New South Wales Electoral Commission's website. Right, it's not very convoluted, but it's a bit convoluted.
Yeah, I reckon a certain amount of convolution there.
Then we go to election.
And while he's looking for that, I want to remind the people out there who are watching, who are thinking about these things. If you're into that, if you reckon you can make a positive impact, you don't have to like me. You do not have to like him. You don't have to agree with us on anything. But if you've got own mind, own spirit, own cart to push, things you think are valuable and worth supporting and championing, I absolutely implore you to run for local council, state government, federal government. I think arguably all three should be abandoned. I can't stand any of them. But, you know I'm a bit extreme with how much of that shit I'd like to cut. I'd like to cut it and hack it and remove most of it. But, if you do feel strong enough about it, run. And if you're not sure you'll get the support, I know how to do it. I can help set you up with the paperwork. Councillor Irvine will help set you up with the paperwork.
That's not a problem.
We ask nothing of anybody other than you be your own person. Stand for your own views.
Just managed to negotiate that.
Right.
Anyway, so there's a section that says
who are the candidates?
Who are the candidates? And you search on the area, and obviously you go down to T-Town.
Yep.
Where it all happens.
Where it all happens.
It all happens here.
Oh, look, now I'm going to say this. Compared to some of the other councils that have blown themselves up, stabbed themselves in the face, and raping and pillaging themselves to extreme degrees, TSC isn't by far the most challenged in the country.
Well,
It's a long way
I'm
off.
telling you, there's a few people who need to get their noms in because we've got 9 councillors to be elected, and currently there's 3 candidates. So at the top of the list, we've got the old stallion, Nigel
Judd.
Judd.
Yeah, well, we gave him the
old war horse.
Yeah. Well,
he's going around again.
He's going around again.
He's going for the 5.
To be fair, is he going to get? That'll give him 50 years as an elected councillor. Yeah. I can almost see some. Look, I think everybody should do a term limit of like 10 minutes. Get in, fix what you want to fix, and get out.
There's a bit of an argument for that.
But look, I love that shit. If you're going to go in, clean up, hammer, do what you're going to do, and bolt. But that's just me. Career politicians shit me. Anybody. Billy Connolly said it. Anyone who wants to be a politician has no business being anywhere fucking near it. But
where do you put all the skeletons?
Well,
like.
You need a big
hole in local government. Where do you put the skeleton?
Big hole on somebody's property.
And what happens if you get a wet year and all them things start popping up and it's like Stephen King movie?
Could get ugly. But if I was Nigel and in Nigel's shoes and I was that close to hitting a half century, you know what? I don't personally see value.
You reckon you could sleep through the next 4 years and raise the bat?
Oh, look, Fred Noel did it.
Yes, well.
I know some guys who were involved in the Fred Noel party for a lot of years, and old Fred was asleep for at least the last 10. There's pros and cons. Who else? Belinda's on there. So Belinda's going around again.
Yeah. And me.
And you. So we got 3. Okay.
So we've got 30% of what we need.
The mayor hasn't re-nominated as yet. That's interesting. Maybe he's waiting to see what I'll do.
Could be.
I could be a really fun mayor.
He might be waiting to fill his.
I don't know if I'm any good at pickleball, but I tell you what, I could be fun.
Yeah, I'd be a fun mayor too.
Oh, look, why not? And look, all as much as a lot of guys, these guys particularly, I know, Councillor Furman and Nigel Judd see great value. Particularly, they've been around it for so long.
They see great value in
it. They think it's really they do, but I haven't run into Rick for quite a while, and to be honest, I think I said it last time. I probably couldn't pick Nigel Judd out of a police lineup. To be honest with you, I'm sure admittedly, I got his hot little hand here in my little Temora Bugle.
Maybe the one that have his eyes closed.
no, that's a fine guy. He's got his eyes closed.
Oh,
he's Australia's most wanted front of the paper here. But look, in saying that, I honestly believe most people go to local council, with really, really positive intentions or proactive intentions. You didn't go in there because you went, I'm going to burn this place to the ground. You went in there going, I've got some serious concerns and issues with how it's running, what's happening, what's been happening, and how people have been treated and how it's operating. I'm going to go in and try and make a difference, which is all power to you for wanting to do that. And I'm sure that the other councils and other nominees that are here, according to, and I've just had a bit of a squeeze here, apparently these guys have nominated but are not yet obviously not on the website.
They registered as political participants, but they haven't their nominations.
Yeah, so Kenneth James, off the top of my head, no idea. Francis Hoban, no idea. Somebody named Rick Furman.
Don't know.
Ever heard of that guy? Nah. if Rick wasn't on 3 pages of 3 pages,
that fella.
I wouldn't.
Sponsor.
I wouldn't take the mickey as much as I do, but shit, seriously, even if I was the mayor, we really want to do that.
He's got to go on the front page. Where else?
Well, the front page, top, second story, third story. There's 2 goes over here. And I did. There's
a bit of a drought. Come on, pick the game up.
There we go.
There's a whole spread there with it's a mayor-free zone.
There we go.
Oh no, there he is. He's back. He's back.
And it wouldn't be a piss take unless it was a piss take, right? There wasn't so easy to
if it wasn't so obvious and blatant,
and it's been going on it's been going on for 20 years.
Yes,
it's just really,
yes,
really,
yes. Is there that little news goes on tomorrow?
His scrapbook has to be bigger than this room.
Well,
just with copies of the Temora Bugle with, it's, yeah. I got a couple of clippings of my kid in the paper or whatever, but actually, and one of them stars Rick. Dude, seriously.
Get in your head.
man, good luck getting in there. There's not much there to worry about. She's a pretty safe zone in my head. But you know, in saying that and taking the piss out of the paper, one thing that struck me, and I walked in here tonight at 7:15 to set up, jumped on, and Anthony's got the bugle here because I don't buy it. Roads, lighting, and trucks question on the second story on the page here. Now, apparently, Councillor Furman, Deputy Mayor Graham Sinclair, and General Manager Melissa Boxall, who, to be fair, I still haven't met her yet either. Not sure I could pick her out of a police lineup. But they've been out interviewing businesses to see what they think. Now, as a description of the businesses, among the businesses visited were the Railway Hotel and the Temora Library. Temora Library is not a fucking business. It's a council-run entity.
It's a service.
It's a service. It's not a business at all. So, of course, they're going to say everything's wonderful because it's funded by council. I mean, they don't exist. They exist at the pleasure of the state. Yeah.
The boss is there. This place is fantastic.
This is the best best job I've ever had. Now, as for the Railway Hotel, I haven't been down there for the latest incarnation of the hotel, although I did hear that even after the previous bloke had to spend $1 million making, and I'll tell you what, I know a little bit about professional kitchens. I've been in far too many in my time. He spent a mozza on it and decked it out. It was like Pimp My Kitchen. And somehow, when these new people bought it 6 months after that one landed on its bum and didn't go to plan, somehow there were some issues with the kitchen.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Very hard to believe. I mean, what planet does that happen on? It's got me buggered.
It's hard to see how you get a DA one day.
And 6 months later, it's non-compliant. I know they like to throw rules around and bring them in. And I know it happens all around the world and all around the country and whatever, but what a load of shit as far as I'm concerned. Like,
hard to follow that one.
Hard to follow that one. I've got questions. I should go down and ask the people down there. At some point, I'll have to have a beer down there and say, what's the story? How's it all going? But, it does baffle me that that's a thing. It baffles me. Anyways, righto, Anthony, what's on your list? ICAC doing some shady shit. What are ICAC doing?
No, ICAC.
They're not doing something useful for a change.
Because we're front of the curve, because we are leading edge, and because we are curing serious spins.
Somebody's got to do it, bro.
We've been all over this. Now, we brought this to the attention. I reckon ICAC have probably been.
They're probably tuning. I tell you what, the list of names that are watching this program.
They've probably been watching some previous episodes.
It's a who's who, mate. They're going through it.
Because ICAC have come out today.
Yeah.
Now, this has come out from.
Is it addressed to me or you?
It's addressed to councillors. So it's addressed to
you.
Oh, I could put future. I could scratch future in there, and you could be. We could share. I
don't need letters from ICAC. I get enough government letters. I don't answer any of them.
The Chief Commissioner of ICAC, Mr. Hatzistigos. Now, Kiama Municipal Council referred 3 councillors for investigation to ICAC on suspicion of serious corrupt conduct a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we discussed it.
Yeah. And at the time...
And one councillor had codes of conduct, took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court wrapped them, packed them, stacked them, and told them to bash their shit right out the door.
Yes. So,
bye-bye, see ya, gone.
So, ICAC have come out today and said, and this is bloody good. I reckon it's good. As the September 2024 local government elections fast approach, I'm writing to current local government councillors, registered political parties and registered candidates to highlight some important integrity-related matters. Weaponisation of the Commission. That's first heading. In the past, particularly in the context of campaigning, individuals have weaponised the ICAC by directing allegations of corruption against their political rivals. You don't say.
Oh, you reckon?
Oh, no. They wouldn't do that. They'd be far too proper.
Too principled, too proper.
These people are the upstanding members, the pillars of society.
Of course.
They couldn't possibly weaponise the Commission and refer things to ICAC that may or may not have any merit or basis. And they may or may not just be politicising the event that they've referred it to ICAC in an attempt to smear those individuals.
Oh, look, no, that would never happen.
No,
just one goat, mate. Just one goat. Built the whole town, one goat.
Yes. These allegations may be accompanied by public statements that the matter has been referred to the Commission Doing so, irrespective of whether there is a reasonable basis for such allegations, may cause political damage. It may.
No, it fucking will.
You've been referred to ICAC 3 weeks out from the elections. That might give you a little bit of a pain in the
That
guts.
could be a bit of a problem. It'll give you a pain in the guts, and it will give, again, when you link up.
No, it won't give me a pain in the guts. I would expect it.
You and I are anticipating all that sort of shit. But, you know, like for the average punter who's or just stepping into the ring, they're going to throw this at you. They're going to send you off there, and then some sort of half-assed mob like this mob that, you know.
They'll pick it up and run.
They'll run. And they will absolutely run as long as, and I'm convinced, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do a count of sponsors. Yeah, that's right. And it's bullshit. But the average punter not involved, doesn't want to be involved, just reads the local bugle and goes, oh shit, Irvine,
brown poo, smell poo.
That says, yeah, that's right.
Poo.
Poo, yeah, the guy's in trouble, man.
Yeah, poo.
And, you know, and then they vote accordingly, and their political rivals moved.
Yes.
Gone, shaken.
And then, 17 months later, the ICAC will come out and
go, oh, that was all bullshit.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. Too late.
Well, look, and we've seen these government, when you're a government investigating government, it does my head in.
So he goes on to say, such allegations should not be used as a weapon to level at a political rival.
And you can just
what he does go on to say is, if you want to report something, just go through the normal channels, report it quietly, and we'll have a look at it when we get time. It'll be sensible.
Yeah. Try and make it a bit measured and not the usual
and let's not go and slime someone just for the sake of sliming them.
Yeah,
let's not find them guilty before we've had a bit of due process here.
Guilty before innocent, but that's the world we live in. Social media, done.
Oh, we've spoken about the codes of conduct, how you're guilty, but they won't tell you what you did.
Well, the only variable for me is I might run a campaign and I'll just go guilty as charged. That can be my slogan because I don't care. You know, like I am not, you know, if I do run, right, I know you're going in there to fix it. I'll be going in there to cut, slash, burn, and not the entire thing, but I would happily turn the entire building into a car park. And we could charge people. We could put up a car park, pay, and there you go. Park your car there all day.
See me? I'm not Jesus. I don't do miracles. So I'm not going to try and fix it. I'm not that deluded.
Well,
okay, I can't fix it. All I can do is go in there and observe, and I can say things like that. Do you think the ratepayers will like that? And then all I can do when they make really, really stupid decisions is to come out and I can just tell the ratepayers. At least the ratepayers know.
Get some transparency.
You know,
transparency.
When council goes into business against their ratepayers, at least I can tell the ratepayers, look, you've got some competition.
Well, speaking of that, so look, apparently the Temora Library is now considered a business.
It is.
How's the gym business going for the Temora Shire Council? Are we making $1 million or what?
Smashing it.
Yeah, right. You know, have all the other local gyms in the area sort of banded together yet and you know, opposed the nonsense or what?
I don't know, but I'm sure they would have got their rate notices in the post in the last week or so, and it would have been nice, wouldn't it? You know, here we go. Pay us some money, and in the meantime,
pay us some money so we can run with competition. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to start sending councils bills and just go, well, I'm now going into competition with you on everything.
Well, what can we go into competition with them? That's the thing, right?
You know, look, I had to talk to somebody the other day about Goldenfields water. You and I have discussed Goldenfields water, I believe, on the station Pterodactyl FM.
Yeah.
You know,
this is the monopoly, the mandated monopoly that sets their own fees.
That's right.
And won't.
If I turn around tomorrow and said I'd like to start a water company, let's say my pockets are a little deeper than they are. I am a man of reasonably modest means. You know, I'm not rolling around a Ferrari by any stretch of the imagination.
No, you haven't been on council.
I've Salim Mahaja, yeah.
Like I say, we discussed this last week, how well it's working for me and how well it's how much I'm profiting from it when I've gone from a turnover of and this was published by the council. For 6 years, I was making on average $56,500 a year out of council. And I think last year I made 11.
Yes.
So that's good math. That's about $45,500.
It's how I know you're
not in the wrong direction.
It's how I know you're not on the take, hence why I'm sitting here with you, because you're not getting any victories out of this financially. Which,
mate, I'm telling you, I wonder if they'll publish that, because if they don't, I will.
Yeah, I'll publish.
Now, the one thing that absolutely gets my goat.
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
Is I ask them how much they're paying the ex-general manager, and they won't tell me.
It's a secret, but your financials are.
They'll plaster them. I think they made a wallpaper and just gave it to people and said, "Look, plaster it all over the place."
Oh, look, when it suits them, they're quite happy to.
They can smear. They smear like a lunatic.
I had a couple of front page news articles. I had the Daily Telegraph. Oh, no, I deserved a good slap, but I'm happy to take a good slap.
Yeah.
Only difference between me and them is I'll take my medicine.
Oh.
I take it on the chin. Prime News.
Prime News.
There are 2 rules. Of course there are
2 rules.
And it's quite funny because I sit there and go, I'll talk about it. I'm supposed to have shut up by now. Haven't I been put in my box yet?
It's funny you say that because I had a text from the Daily Advertiser the other day.
Oh, what do they want? We got to sell them papers now too.
We're going to sell papers for them too. The Daily Advertiser, don't hear from them for a whole term of council.
Yeah. Now what do they want?
Now
they actually say what they want to talk to you about?
Well, they want to talk about the upcoming elections. They just want to put together a bit of a feature and
I'll give them a feature.
Where were they when we had a few local issues that really could have done with a bit of public airing, and a little bit of help,
No,
pick up your game, kids. Don't think that we've got nothing better to do than you can just tap us when you got nothing to go in the paper. Come and talk to us when
Yeah, I'll give you a story. I can give you plenty.
I will give you a story at all. Halfway through next term, you give me a ring.
How about we just start our own newspaper? Oh, hang on, no, they want to be bankrupt soon enough anyway. It won't matter, and then we'll just buy it. Restore some journalistic integrity.
No,
I mean, I'm not a writer's backside. We all know that. I've never made claims to be. But I'll tell you what, everything I type like I type, write like I talk. And then I go, shit. Yeah, well, that'll do, whatever. And I think most people who, it gives my opposition something to pick on if they really want to. I don't care. And it also, the people who know me go, you read it, it sounds exactly like you talk, dude,
But look, I just don't think we even need to go there. I think that whole legacy
media is,
it's just about good. It really is people my age and up
still checking for it.
Buy the paper.
Yeah.
You don't see young kids going in and buying the paper.
No, newspapers, news agencies,
and
all over the country are close to shutting down.
I'm not aware of
everything.
I'm not aware of electronic, like the Daily Advertiser. Wagga's got an electronic edition that you can subscribe to.
Yeah, I used to subscribe to it, and then I asked for my money back because I figured I've given you. I think in the last 3 years I've made the front cover 2 or 3 times.
They should be paying you.
They should be paying me. I don't know how many of my photos have stolen off Facebook.
Yeah, I'm providing some content.
I'm giving you pricks content, it's and it's all good. I mean, actually somebody was asking me about it the other day. So Frosty, who was at the event last night. So I've been really, I guess, not as active as Frosty in it, but very supportive. I've known Frosty now for a couple of years.
We're going to talk about Pro Patria.
You want to do that?
We'll go on that. Yeah, so Jason Frost came out to Temora have got a group called Open Minds, Brighter Futures.
Yep.
And it's focused around community, mental health and well-being.
Yep.
And there's people who come along who haven't got mental health issues, who might know someone who has. There's people who come along who are interested. There's people who come along who enjoy the community. There's people who come along and just
So participate.
It's a really good group who are doing some really positive work.
Yep.
Within the community,
and it's all voluntary, and nobody's asking for $1. No. They're not begging for money. They just do.
No, they do fundraising. They do things, and it's really good. So they brought a guy over last night for a presentation down at the Salvation Army Hall, and it followed. They had a meal afterwards, and it was a great night. Called Jason Frost.
Yes.
Who's a great advocate for the Pro Patria Centre. Now, he was in the Australian Defence Force for 16 years. He came out the back end of that with some pretty serious brain injuries, some pretty serious structural body injuries, and a lot
of mental trauma as well.
A hell of a lot to work through. just an example, he said when he enlisted, he was 178 centimetres tall.
Yep.
And when he was discharged, he was 174 centimetres tall.
Yeah, right.
So he lost 4 centimetres out of his spine from bulge discs, crushed discs, loss of compaction of cartilage.
Yeah.
And even during his presentation there last night, he had to sit down for a couple of times because just standing gets uncomfortable for him for extended periods.
Now he runs the Veterans Shed in Wagga as well. That's one of his things.
Yeah.
So,
but they're doing great stuff, and they're bringing together. And the best thing about this thing is it's not government led. It's not some program that is run by bureaucrats. It's run by the people who are most affected, and it's a grassroots movement. And there are people in the community who really know their stuff and want to get involved in that space.
Yeah,
and it's become a bit of a beacon and an assembly area, a rallying point for all these people to. There's so many. They've got a really good, for anyone who's interested, they've got a really good short documentary on YouTube. So if you search Pro Patria, there also seems to be some heavy metal band called Pro Patria. Don't get confused.
Yeah.
But
so the three organisations that we're currently kind of touching on mixed in with this is Open Minds, Brighter Future in Temora.
Yep.
They're a Temora-based mob.
Yep.
The Veterans Centre is sort of Jason Frosty's baby, mixed in with the Pro Patria Veterans Centre, Veterans and First Responders Centre in Wagga. So they're the three that sort of revolve in and around what we're talking about at the moment.
Yeah. So it was a great presentation, and he really got in depth. And the big difference between what they're doing there and most other programs is theirs is led by the people and the community, and it's a really positive thing. I was just really impressed. I was impressed with him.
Did you get a good turnout? I couldn't be there.
There was a good solid turnout. There was at least 30 people there, which was
that's a good little turnout for
at least 30.
Like Frosty's like a celebrity, but he's not a celebrity. He's just a hard-working, committed guy to his cause, and he works really hard and gives a lot. So 30 people in it, if you
that's 30 more people in the community who were treated to a really good presentation and will go out. And there were some celebrities in the space, and John won't mind me mentioning this, but a fellow who's known locally for his work in that space is John Harper.
Yep.
So John came along. It was a really well attended, a really good presentation, and it was great to sit down, have a meal, and there's a bit of a chat and just meet some people. And so that was a really a great night. Well,
I'm actually having breakfast with Frosty tomorrow morning.
Good.
So that'll be interesting. I'll get the rundown from him, and he'll tell me I'm naughty because I couldn't be at his.
Some of these new treatments and that they're trying, and they're talking about the cutting edge stuff. They're going away from this idea of just medicate.
Big pharma jammed antidepressants down your throat until your head explodes.
Oh, and everything else. Okay, you've got side effects. Take this for your side effects. It's giving you side effects. Take this for those side effects.
We actually ran a documentary at I think it was the Riverina Playhouse in Wagga there, and Frosty was the key man again behind that, and I showed up for that. I was there for that event. And we watched a documentary. There would have been probably 60, 70 people at this event at the Wagga Playhouse called Medicating Normal.
Yes.
Which, if anybody's got time to watch it, if anybody's got time, track down Medicating Normal and watch it. It'll make your stomach turn in parts. It'll make you cry in other parts. And it will, particularly with veteran type folks, it will resonate. I know the night we were there was a couple of blokes who actually got out and were crying. They were just a mess. Because this serious shit that happens to people,
These people go in with the best of intentions.
They're some of the bravest people on planet Earth.
They get exposed to things that people shouldn't really see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of them come out the back end of it completely broken.
Yeah, and that happens for our military. That happens for our AMBOs. That happens for our police and fireys. Yeah. And it's important. We've got a support network for them, and that's what Pro Patria is. So
www.ProPatria
Centre or propatria.com.au. Get on there and check that out. I know we do a lot of work for them. Don't hold it again. If you don't like me, don't hold it against the Pro Patria Centre. It just may be that we agree on something and we can work together to make the world a better place.
No. They're
phenomenal.
A great organisation, and like I said, we have to find a better way to care for these people because they.
And the first method of treatment shouldn't be pills. That's there are certain areas where pills are useful. There are certain medications that are useful in some ways.
I'm not going to pretend that modern medicine hasn't got some really good product. But,
absolutely.
But the idea that more often than not, and this was Jason's point last night, that the modern pharmaceuticals treat the symptoms.
Yes.
They don't treat the cause.
Yep.
And
they also create new symptoms for a new problem.
And you end up in these long-term addictive cycles where you've got heavy painkillers and all sorts of other things they don't lead to good outcomes.
I was in hospital last year for just a gallbladder surgery. And I couldn't believe how desperate they were to give me pain medication. Now, I'm not trying to pretend I'm tough by any stretch of the imagination. Some of it hurt, right? But I went in there expecting it was going to hurt because they're going to cut me open and do a little surgery. I was like, this is going to hurt. A couple of Panadol, that's fine. Thanks very much. And I'm good, right? And they're, you don't have to be tough. No, but I also don't have to digest tons and tons of medications. And I was also in hospital, not myself, but visiting last week. And just the repetition from the medical staff to alleviate pain. And I don't think they mean poorly by it. They're obviously trying to make you as comfortable as possible. But there is this sort of underlying desperation to jam pills into people or injections into people for pain. Oh, do you need more pain relief? Do you need more pain relief? Do you need more pain relief? How about you let them ask for it? If they're in enough pain to ask for it, they'll ask for it.
I've
what I mean?
A little issue with it in a short-term scenario. The thing is, when that becomes the treatment.
Well, my problem is how often does that turn into that? Because people become so dependent on. I was feeling...
they're highly addictive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
There's a real cycle there. So anyway, on a positive note, I thought it was fantastic. It was really well patronised, and they're doing great work, and they really do seem to be kicking some goals. So, and there's some good outcomes there for people who had no hope.
Well,
so they were at their.
Frosty came on Pterodactyl FM at one stage with me and did a little bit of a spiel. We might get him on here one night.
Yes.
I'm sure he'd be more than happy to. I'm also, I'll offer an extended, unless you oppose it, offer an invitation to, somebody from Open Minds, Brighter Futures that wants to come and tell us what they're doing.
They've got a great thing they're doing. So
yeah, happy to help them promote it. And I mean, every little bit helps. If they get one new person show up who feels better about what they're doing, or may find a way forward, or this is the real stuff. This is the stuff where it makes a bit of a difference.
You can try and hitch your wagon to all the shiny, happy people who are doing really well,
or look like they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend that they're in reality. How many people's Instagram is every happy thing that they've ever done, and never anything negative.
One of the most disturbing pieces of data that he rolled out last night was 1 in 5 Australian adults are on antidepressants.
Yeah,
that's 20%.
That's a scary number.
That's a huge number.
That's a lot of people. And this will sound pretty harsh, but I'll probably get the wording of it wrong, but depression in and of itself, the way it's portrayed these days, to me, isn't a real thing. Now, I'm not saying people don't get depressed, and I'm not saying people don't have some shit that's absolutely horrible that they go through, that they've got to digest and process. But there seems to be it's almost like a badge of, I've got depression. I've got, it's sort of like a bit of almost a cop-out for people to kind of consistently have miserable or sad lives or have things going on. On the other hand, you've got people who have traumatic shit and really sad shit. Somebody dies, somebody is blown up, somebody gets cancer, whatever the case may be. And yes, they're sad. But that I don't really, in the way I sort of digest it or interpret it, that to me isn't depression. There's some real shit happening in your life and you don't feel good about it. That's normal. But this whole idea of I'm just depressed, think it's a bit of a cop out that way, and it's hard for me to explain it. But you see, I don't know if you've seen them. I've seen a million of them, and they sort of almost dig their own misery permanently. And then you see people who have some shit happen, and they're sad at that time, or they have to work through it, and then they've still.
You'll see someone who's lost both arms and one leg.
That's what I'm getting
in
at.
a motor accident, and they're just so happy that they've got one leg left that they can hop around on.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you see other people who are completely intact and able-bodied.
Yep.
But
they've got nothing.
But let's not.
I'm trying to get the balance with the way I'm describing it, because
there is a clinical illness.
Sure.
And that's the true depression. That is the true clinical.
It's like the ADHD and all this shit with all
the idea
kids,
that you go through life and every day is a happy day and you're always Wonderbar, and it is just Kodak moment. I say this all the time. But we go, "How's your day?" or "What are you up to?" and or I'll say, and oh yeah, it's all right. Oh yeah, not too bad. Another day. Here again, and you just go, "Oh, you're talking yourself into shit." But even to the point,
my philosophy, right,
is
I only have good days or great days, right?
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean I have absolutely shit days, but they're good because I got all my faculties.
Yes.
My body's functioning pretty well for a 43-year-old bloke.
Yeah.
I don't have any health issues whatsoever.
Good people
I've got some really good friends and family. My enemies are fun. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind that sort of stuff. So good days or great days for me. A really, really shitty day at this stage is still a really good day, and a great day, that's when you are. The sun's shining, rainbows are shooting from your ass, and you're kind of going, "This is fantastic."
Kicking goals.
That couldn't have been better. And I see a group like Open Minds. I've been to a couple of their events with you, and we've been along there. Great people. And I can absolutely, some of those guys, you can see that they're having real struggles and real trauma, and and trying to work through it with them. It's great. Like, I mean, I'm happy enough to try and provide some positive energy where I can, but you sort of, the groups that they're voluntary to run, from what I can tell, function better than the government run versions of.
This is the whole thing. It's when it's driven by the participants and the community, it's so much more effective, and it's so much more directed where it needs to be.
Well, some wanker bureaucrats not telling them all how to feel and what they should be doing, because I'm better than you and I know stuff, and the government's giving me 60 grand a year to tell you what to do.
One of the really interesting comments that Jason made last night was that a lot of the diagnosis is done by GPs who aren't really qualified for that. Yeah. And it really is just trying to make people feel better.
Yeah.
And then they prescribe them something.
Well, and that's what life is.
Yeah. And
trying to make yourself feel better.
I've been self-employed since 1990. So what have we took it? 34 years.
Well, if anybody's got a right to be depressed, it's you.
No. I've had times when I've looked in the mirror and I haven't wanted to go to work. I haven't liked what I've got.
Yeah.
But you look in the mirror of a morning and you know who set that up. You know who to blame.
Yeah.
It's the bloke looking back at you.
Yeah.
And you have to be prepared, and you have to be brave enough to either call it and go and find something else to do.
Yep.
Or to make the changes necessary
to
improve it.
Yep. Bit of self-reliance, bit of self-responsibility, accountability.
Well, if you're the boss and you don't like going to work, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And you haven't addressed it. So that's, there's other outside elements, and there'll be things that'll change in an industry, and it might make it really hard to exist in that space.
For sure.
But even to that point, you've got to make,
you as a human
have to assess that, and you have to make a grown-up decision.
Yeah.
Put your big boy pants on and say, right, this is happening in our industry. There's no longer margins available that I can afford to be in this space. I have to either modify, change, morph.
Yeah, and adapt or die. That's sort of
or get out and go and do something else.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're all the things.
A lot of people will find that empowering.
a lot of people just can't do it though, and a lot of people sit there and they let life do it to them.
A lot of people, like a lot of people let other people kind of dictate to them what they should be doing, and suck their vibe, suck their energy out of them. You can't do that. I'm lucky in many ways. One of them was when I was younger, I wasn't hugely popular. Some things never change, but because I wasn't hugely popular, I didn't actually care. I didn't have anybody to, I didn't have to kiss anybody's ass. I kind of,
anyone who spends their life trying to please others over and above. Look, rule number one: be happy with yourself.
You've got to like you. You've got to be able to look in the mirror, no matter what you're doing.
You've also got to be honest with yourself. You've got to say to yourself, I'm really not managing this particularly well at the moment. I'm not managing that particularly well at the moment. But you've got to set yourself some goals, and you've got to be, on your way to being a better person.
I joke all the time about how a wonderful, charming, good-looking, humble I am, and people go, "You douchebag," and I go, "I'm mucking around, right?"
Yeah.
But I do have a certain level of self-confidence that I've earned because I've worked my ass off to be relatively independent. Even if shit goes wrong, I know I can find a solution. So I'm pretty good there. I feel really confident that whatever life throws at me, I can sort of swallow, digest, chew it, spit it out. I'd like to see more people experience that. And that only comes through the repetition and support. Like I've got a couple of safety nets over the years, and that's not monetary. That's more just good people. I know that if I really had to prop up on their couch, I could. If if everything went to shit, but and you see it with people where parents, you'd never be able to do that. You can't do that. That's impossible. You shit. You whatever it is, and you see it all the time. You see it all the time, people, and you can see it as kids, teenage, as they're getting older, as men and women are running around planet Earth right now. You can see it. Just this underlying insecurity that's permeated the whole country. I absolutely believe that's a big cause of domestic violence, is all these blokes are so insecure in themselves. Therefore, they turn into fucking lunatics and beat the shit out of their wife. It's like a control, that's just my take on it, is as a society, we're so scared. We're so you can't do that. I'm not allowed to do that. You can't go there. Am I allowed to do this? What happens if this goes wrong? And everybody's sitting there shit scared, afraid somebody's going to yell at them, or they're going to be in trouble from somebody, or they're going to fail.
Newsflash. In order to learn anything, you have to fail. That's just
over and over again.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Get on with it.
Fail often, fail fast, fail forward.
Making the mistakes.
Yeah, but just try and fail forward.
Yeah, and just
try and fail forward, and learn from
the one that's most frustrating is, and I've had a few situations, I know myself, where I've got a pretty thick head, and I've had to get smacked in the face a couple of times.
Oh, look at my driving record.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's just part of your personality. And a bit of stickability. You've got to have a little bit of stubbornness. People think stubbornness isn't a great personality trait, but I'm telling you,
it can get you through some tough times.
Digging a hole, and the chips are down, and you've got to get it done, and your hands are sore, and you're getting blisters, and the sun's shining, and you got to be a little bit stubborn and just press on.
Just got to get this done. I tell you what, you and I could be the Tony Robinses of tomorrow after tonight's episode, don't we? Burn all up vibe and interesting.
Well, it's all the adversity from council that's just strengthened me and tempered me after.
Mate, what did we actually have formally on a list? Was there anything that we had to must?
Well, the must was
ICAC.
I think the Temora Independent have had a little bit of a relapse.
Relapse.
I think we need to.
It's election time, so Rick's going to lose at least eight photos a week.
We need to get them in and do a bit of an examination and put the thermometer in where
business as usual. Business as usual. But I mean, we can't.
They have relapsed because we've got council on the front page, and it's all we've achieved a great.
We're amazing. Next week it'll be you or me on the front page with I'm a bastard.
And I'm a double bastard.
Double bastard.
But there's something here that there's no ability to actually be a bit circumspect and actually give yourself I was in a meeting the other day, and it comes across as negative.
Yeah.
But I made the comment that council had dropped the ball in regards to acknowledging staff, upcoming staffing shortages, and just what the landscape looks like.
Yeah, but they're not going to have any. You've got a governance officer. How much more staff?
No, but this is the thing, and the general manager actually piped up and said, "Oh, that's a bit harsh," or that's unfair. But this is something I'm going to raise with the general manager at next opportunity.
Yeah.
Since she took the role, which is just 12 months ago.
Yeah, we had a celebration.
Even at the top level of council, we've engaged a HR officer.
Yep.
We're recruiting for a governance officer.
I might do
We've
that
had a
job.
senior engineering person leave. They're currently recruiting, and I think they're recruiting for 2. So she hasn't come into an organisation that's functioning well and covering all bases. She's come into an organisation where she's probably added $500,000 to payroll just in those roles.
Well, I'm going to be chomping at the bit to see those numbers come budget time.
Well,
and I'm going to sit down with a couple of accountant mates of mine, and I might even put in, how do I go about getting the full, like, as in the forensic accounting of this?
I don't think you can.
I mean, surely there's got to be.
They'll say it's operational. They give you.
I'll give them operational.
High-level figures that are basically cost centres with no detail.
Well,
I've asked for detailed figures on a number of occasions, and I've been denied. And I'm a bloody council.
Well, and I'm a ratepayer, and it pisses me off.
No, but this is the same thing we've been talking about recently. Councillors aren't supposed to ask questions. That councillors are really only there when the governing body, the corporate side of council, have to make a decision that they're not overly happy with, and they roll the council out to take the pain.
You
make the decision on our behalf. You take the.
And we'll go back to running our businesses.
Yes, and
when it pisses me off for a couple of reasons.
So here we are. Now we've got a situation where we have been losing some of our younger up and coming staff to other organisations.
Yeah.
That hasn't been addressed to date. But like I say,
But I imagine
the new general manager, we'll just go back to that statement on earlier. She's come in and she's put a huge amount of extra resources into the management side of council. But yet telling me that I said they've obviously dropped the ball.
Yeah.
That's unfair. No, it's not. Have a look at what you've just done. You've come in, you've been here for 12 months, and you've already employed a HR manager. And you're recruiting a governance officer.
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I do like to ask this shit. So who did the recruiting before there was a HR manager in there to, I don't know, deal with crap?
I don't know.
I still don't even know what a HR manager does. What a stupid title. What a stupid job.
HR, puffing stuff.
Human resources. Let's make everybody feel all warm and fluffy.
If you're as old as me, if you've got hair like me, you'll remember HR puffing stuff.
HR puffing stuff, yeah. I remember the name, but yeah.
That'll probably give you a description of what HR people do.
Yeah, I can only imagine,
they're culture and people or whatever they do. They're people managers.
It's bullshit, right?
No. This day and age, with all of the legislation, with all of the requirements.
I roll all that back.
But if you're going to run a business of that size, surely that shit's in place.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
how many employees in total has council got? Across the board, just roughly.
Oh, it's well in excess of 100.
That's
so it takes some wrangling.
Well, it shouldn't really. You've got a manager of the depot. He's in charge of everyone at the depot. The building down there should be turned into a car park. And I'm not saying anything about the people that work there. Well, what I'm just saying is, I'm sure, have them work from home, right? We don't need a great big shiny building in the middle of town.
We certainly don't
prime real estate.
We don't need to be paying gym instructors.
No, we don't need to be paying gym instructors.
They could be done from the private sector.
Sure, absolutely.
There's 100%. There's a lot of roles in council that could return back to the private sector.
Look,
and there's a lot of roles in council that aren't delivering what you would call the core assets. Now, if you've noticed, council are in this great phase of self-promotion. If you go on the council's Facebook page, they've got podcasts going.
I saw that. How come we set up a podcast and they set up one a couple of weeks later? That's kind of cute.
They are.
Again, we're leading the charges as leading.
Imitation is one of the highest forms of flattery.
Absolutely, but I'll tell you what,
someone's getting paid for. We're not getting paid for this, but someone's getting paid for that.
What do you mean somebody's getting paid for that?
Well, someone's getting paid to produce that content.
Surely they're not just doing it in their spare time like we are.
No.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, that's
so my rate pay.
your rate dollars
I'm
are going.
I'm going to stop paying rates. I think I'm just going to stop doing it. Like I only pay them sporadically. Anyway. I can't say I live and die by the schedule, but like what?
Yes.
What a load of shit. Like I mean, I always end up paying them at least something, whatever. Like I really don't care, but it's one of the bills that I just pretty much ignore. I think I've got it on half a schedule where it just goes through and it goes through, and I really couldn't care less. But I look at it and I go, I'm not in any hurry to pay this. This isn't a service I necessarily want. I don't want to be paying gym instructors at the fucking pool.
Well, one thing that's doing my head in at the moment is we keep getting these ideas that local government can't sustain itself. We need more funding. We need this. We need that. No, pull your effing heads in and just do the jobs that you're supposed to do.
Cut the budget. Cut the crap. In last week's paper when we had a bit of a look at that, we do far more than roads, rates, and rubbish. That's not something to be proud of.
No, that just means that you're just pushing into the private sector.
That's right. You're just taking businesses away from people who should legitimately exist.
And creating big government when we don't actually need it. Socialism doesn't work.
No, it's never worked. Not once, not in history. And the same answer is always if it was done properly.
We've discussed this in the past. And basically, we know that to live in a community and to have all of your rubbish collected and taken to one common place and dealt with properly is probably a good thing as a community.
Well,
and paying as a community, paying a nominal fee for that is a sensible thing to do.
Sure.
So that
run it like a GoFundMe.
Yeah, and run
GoFundMe.
Yeah, but like
start of each year, every 12 months, ratepayers go, yep, I'm happy to support that. Happy to support that.
Where I'm getting at that because and we're going to get some backlash, I think, as a council. And this is only my own honest opinion.
No, you won't. The paper says it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, that they do, but the paper would. The paper would. Because they're a great beneficiary of council business.
Oh, I want to go through and count how many ads where the council's paid for, and they're roughly what the going rate on a council ad is.
They would have paid a bit. Again, they'd be the biggest.
They'd have to be one of the biggest.
No, they would have to be. They'd have to be the biggest. They would have to be the biggest advertiser. The biggest. What do they call them? The biggest.
Shareholder.
No, what do they call it in advertising? The biggest, anyway, the term evades me. But here we go. We've got a big ad for the building approvals. We've got a big ad here for the notice of the council meeting. We've got a couple of Golden Fields ones in there, but they're not that frequent.
Yeah.
And then we've got another big ad here for our governance officer. Like, this is the thing. What the F and hell does seriously does the GM do? Doesn't the GM do governance?
I don't know, mate. You're speaking to the wrong guy. Here's what I know.
Well,
the bloke in Argentina went through, and I think he's got rid of about 70%. And nobody's noticed other than there's more money in everybody's pockets.
We've got a director of administration and finance. We've got a director of environmental services. Now we've got HR puff and stuff. Now we're going to have a governance officer.
I don't know what these people do.
Well, what's
I don't know what these people do. Like, I just don't know.
Just get coffee.
Somebody's got to get coffee, or bring me tequila if I've got to deal with all these middle-level managers.
You've got a general manager on $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're doing a 9-day fortnight. So that's
part-time. I remember my first part-time job.
That's $12,000 every 9 days work. So that's $1,500 a day. Is it $1,500? Something like that, isn't it?
Have to be close. Have to be close. But Christ, like, I just don't understand. I don't see the need for 80.
That's an expensive person to go and get coffee.
Bloody hell.
Because what are they going to do if you've got a governance officer doing all that, and you've got a HR puff and stuff doing all that, and you've got director of environmental services, you've got a director of administration and finance.
Actually, the director of environmental services liked this program last week on Facebook. I saw him. He liked it.
Yeah, that's nice. Did you get a screenshot of that?
I mean,
I had a really controversial Facebook post at one stage, and the director of environmental services liked that too.
Well, that's good.
And so did Councillor Judd.
Did he? That's excellent. So, you know, look,
I don't know whether he nodded off at his phone or his finger. He just had the laptop or the iPad sitting there and he just nodded off.
When I say that it's a who's who of the hoi polloi in tomorrow that are watching this program, mate, I know who's watching it.
Yeah.
And, you know,
we've got ways.
We have ways and means.
Monitoring.
Not to mention people tell us, I was watching you bastards the other night.
Well, I'm telling you, I've had heaps of people come up to me really positive about my stance on the gym.
Yep.
But we had a discussion about it again this week, and there was a little bit of quiet resistance from one other councillor.
Sure. And they're allowed to disagree with you.
No. I mean...
from as in supporting the fact that it's right. Okay.
But pretty much the rest of them are
just adamant that
they're happy as Larry that we're in business.
Shire Council should be in business running gyms
in competition with 3 other gyms in town.
Is it 3 in town?
There's 3.
Oh, there is one. Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's Hustle on the corner.
Yeah,
there's
on the move over the old squash courts
on Baker Street.
Yeah,
in the old squash courts, and there's the physio shed.
Yeah,
and he does some Pilates and she, as a private business, took on part of the equipment and the trainers that used to be in the one that shut down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, look, fair enough. But council has no business being anywhere near gyms. It has no business being anywhere near caravan parks or accommodation.
Well,
it has no business being anywhere near
council.
Hang on, libraries. Does council own a pub?
No.
Have they bought a pub yet?
No, but they probably will.
Maybe the railway hotel and the library. They're telling us something. Maybe they're investing in the railway.
They could.
Does anybody from the railway want to let us know if tomorrow councils? If they made an offer, they're going to buy you out already. Apparently, they're going to be in every business in town soon. They're going to run everything.
I think so.
They're going to open their own mechanic shop. Tomorrow, Track and Tractor. Better panic.
Yeah.
They'll be out of business because I reckon tomorrow Shire Council off the back of ratepayers could do that far cheaper than.
Isn't it funny though when I asked them to do some work for ratepayer in Area Park in terms of getting some water connected?
And I remember this, yes.
At least get a quote because we've got a backhoe, we've got a plumber on staff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we'd have the wherewithal
if we wanted to solve this problem.
Dig a hole and put a pipe in the ground.
I reckon you and I can do it with a shovel.
Anyway, they weren't interested.
Yeah, shocking.
No, that's not our business.
Yeah, right.
Our business isn't digging holes and putting pipes in the ground. Yet we run our own
system. We run gyms and we run. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we run gyms and we run
caravan parks but I would almost say, look, a library is one of those resources. I dislike a lot of the public service. I think most of them are crap, right? But I do like the idea of libraries. I'd rather see them sponsored by wealthy philanthropists. But I like the idea of making all that knowledge available for free. I do like that.
I like the idea that a person who might not have access to a printer or the internet or a PC or some resource can go in there and they can,
access that shit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But this is what all of these things. Remember back in the day when TAFE courses were accessible to people and people could educate themselves and lift themselves up out of poverty and improve themselves.
Yeah, of course.
And now these things end up with these ridiculous HECS debts that never get paid off and actually become
and they feed into this inflation that we're all dealing with, which is a big part of why half the country's going broke and the other half the country's going kind of all right. I think they were saying the hospitality business is failing at a rate unprecedented at the moment, right now in Australia. They're falling off a cliff. I was reading a little article the other week about it.
Bankruptcies and business failures are running at
levels close to the GFC.
Post GFC levels. They're running at 2011 levels.
So for the people who aren't sure, too young to remember, the GFC was the global financial crisis.
Yeah, but
in 2007.
That was when reality nearly caught up with them.
Almost.
And then they print the shit out of the.
They printed their way out of it. But I'll tell you what, a lot of people
can down the road, and they didn't take the pain when they should, and they've been printing ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. And money's almost worthless. Go back and have a look, guys. There's a video floating around of a Venezuelan fellow back a few years back when Venezuela was at its probably lowest. Venezuela has a lot of economic similarities to Australia. If you go back and you compare the two, and you look at this particular video, there's a dude with a wheelbarrow full of Venezuelan dollars, and he's going in to basically buy a loaf of bread. And he was far more worried about somebody pinching his wheelbarrow than he was a wheelbarrow full of money.
Yeah.
Because the money was just worthless shit. And we are heading down a very similar. You look at what's happening. Absolutely. And you look at the state of the stock market at the moment, doing a bit of there's a massive correction happening. I think there's probably some money to be made in it if you're, liquid. But there's a lot of pain happening right now, and a lot of it's from this overprinting money that's been going on for a lot of years, overspending in COVID, transferring all this money off our back.
The money that they fed into the system had to find a home somewhere, and it led to inflated asset prices, which we've seen in home values, inflated share prices. The streets were awash with all of this money that the government's just pushed into the system.
Absolutely.
And now it's just those things
are just numbers on a computer screen, and it's just starting to bite people on the ass harder than it was.
They won't
6 months ago.
They'll just print. If it gets too ugly, they'll just press print.
Oh, look, but Venezuela did that. And then there was wheelbarrows full of useless cash.
Yeah.
Eventually that's what's going to happen. It'll happen here. It's happening in the US at the moment because they're just about bankrupt. People need to wake up. There's going to need to be some austerity. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. And, and it's going to be really, really sad for a lot of people.
And I think all of the sins of our leaders will really
Well, that's right. As Dom's just proven, he'll just go off and say, "Oh, well, I thought it was a bad idea at the time, but I was overruled by all the pricks around me."
It's all well and good. When people are doing okay and everyone's getting,
everyone's getting a drink. No, everyone's that's right.
They get away with it.
Oh, this is going all right. Yeah, this is cool.
But when the shit hits the fan.
Well, have a look at. Let's have a look at England at the moment.
Oh,
that's a shit show. That's blowing up. I think the new Prime Minister he got in on 30% of primary vote. Does that sound familiar? Oh, we had a bloke who's currently in charge similar, and I think his approval ratings at the moment, this Keir Starmer, who's an absolute communist, down to about 3% already. He's only been in there for 10 minutes. And he's just
that's funny to say that.
Tanked.
We'll get a market. We'll get a market on the US because things have turned. And it's turned into a race over there.
Oh, they're all into it. And then I'm thinking about the other one. What's the other one? Maduro.
Maduro.
Yes, I'm just trying to think. Is it Argentina? Might be. No, it's not Argentina. One of the other South American countries has just blown up with their dictator leader.
Because everyone's agreed that he stole the election.
Yeah. And he's weaponized the military. And they've absolutely out of control. If you're there and you're not going to vote for this bloke, turn around, buddy. You're not coming to vote here.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Yes,
but Australians are silly enough, deluded enough, and we're so lucky because we've never ever actually had a war on this soil of any volition. Therefore, our populace is so deludedly secure. We think it can't happen here. It absolutely can happen here. It will happen here. Socialism's bad, even if it's agrarian socialism. I know that, the Lib Nats are basically all agrarian socialists. It's still socialism, and it still all ends in, you vote your way into socialism, but you pretty much got to shoot your way out. And these are the countries that are leading the way and having to shoot the way out. And it's just a sad reality. That's how it always ends up. Starts out really well, sunshine, rainbows, hippies, and happy. And in the end, it's bullets and starvation. It's a really sad fact of the human existence. Who are you checking?
Are you checking up
Trump versus Kamala? What have we got?
A few weeks ago, we looked at this, and Trumpy Dumpty was about $1.10.
Yeah.
And Sleepy Joe was $5.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. What's Kamala sitting at now?
Well, this is sports bet.
Yeah.
Now, we don't promote gambling, kiddies.
Did he? Yeah. Gamble responsibly.
Yeah, we're not.
No.
But
Sportsbet can send us $1 million each for the ad. And the
would you
highest rating.
believe Kamala Harris is actually $1.83?
Yeah, I'd believe that.
And Trumpy Dumpty, $2.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go.
He's actually been tipped out of favourite. He was.
Look, I don't see it happening. Have you seen any interviews with Kamala or this new bloke, the new vice presidential candidate?
No, I've just
I've
been intentionally avoiding it. Really, I've been really, really busy. It's been unreal. We've had a great time. We've been having a really good time, and we're flat out at work, and we're flat out in our private lives. And
yeah, right. You got a private life. What's that like?
No, it's good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
All good. Everything's good. Yeah. So no, I haven't really. Look, I keep a bit of an eye on it, but one thing I do know is betting agencies don't like losing money.
No, absolutely they don't.
So if you want to shortcut some considerations on some matters, generally you just open it up and say, where is
it at? How's
what
it
are the
going?
betting agencies thinking? So
look,
obviously they're giving her
I actually have a friend of mine who I haven't seen him for a couple of years, but we go to all these events and man, what the hell do you do for a job? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, those people you meet, they always seem to have a few bucks in their pocket and they're doing all right. And I work for a gambling agency. I said, all right, yeah, I mean, fair play. Well, what's that all about? And he goes, apparently what he used to do was he'd sit there and he's real stats and numbers dude. You know, look, fair play to him. He's good at it. He's into it, loves it. But he got right into betting to the tune of he was beating the house far too often, so they employed him.
Yes.
And they brought him in there to help them set the book, so to speak. And you know, he sits there now going, you know, working out the odds for shit like Chinese cricket, you know, and stuff like that, just real obscure. And that's what he does for a living. And I didn't.
You can bet on two flies.
You can absolutely bet on two flies crawling up a wall. And you know, I didn't even know Chinese knew what cricket was, but you know,
no, you can. And it's out of control. That's one vice that I'll have a social punt, but it hasn't really bitten me to the point where it's caused me any real grief in my life.
Yeah. And you know, at the end of the day, you're an adult, and you know, you pick and choose what you're willing to.
And it's a typical Aussie pastime. But if you're partial to it and it gets its hooks in,
you can be in a lot of strife.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, for sure. That's
tough.
everything. And at the end of the day, you've got to be an adult and go, well, this isn't serving me, or it is. If you're at the point where you change your wife and kids out there,
it's all well and good to say that, but I'm telling you, when they keep jamming it down your throat, and every time you turn on the telly, it's there. And every time you open your phone, it's there. And every time you open the paper,
turn off the telly, stop watching TV.
Well,
and I'm going to say turn off your phone. Don't watch Facebook, except when we're on the course, because that's where you're only going to get facts, figures, and useful information. That's
where you're going to get the truth.
But, you know, like, well, you at least get the honest interpretation of what's going on. And, I mean, I saw a thing the other day with this gambling stuff based on one of the newspaper articles in Woggers about the schooners going up, $10 a schooner that they're aiming or heading towards.
Well, there's another indication of just what our money isn't worth.
Our money's worth nothing.
Yes.
It's worth absolute nothing. But you're sitting there and you're going, okay, schooners are going to be worth $12, 10 or $12. We all know that. Tim Quilty was in town last week. So for those of you who don't know Tim Quilty, he was a member of Victorian Parliament during COVID and was a champion at telling them to bash it up their arse. But he's got stubby holders with the actual amount of tax that's levied per drink kind of deal. And it's just theft and it's just extortion. And it's a sin tax.
I was looking at something the other day, and on every cigarette, there's $1.28 excise, and they charge it per stick.
It's 20 billion a year.
$1.28. 128 cents on each cigarette. So if you smoke 20 cigarettes a day, you're contributing about $26
to the government
in tax.
Yep.
pure tax straight off the top.
And they wonder why there are cigarette wars going on, and they're bombing shops and whatever down, and there's tobacconists and whatever.
Oh,
is because the black market for tobacco is driven. It's not driven by criminals. It's driven by government policy.
it's driven by government greed, trying to absolutely milk that cow
sure.
when there's no milk.
$20 billion.
They're addicted.
The biggest smoker in this country is the Australian government by a long shot.
Yeah.
And it's parasitical and it's wrong.
Yeah.
And
they sit there and they go, you shouldn't do it, but we'd be broke tomorrow if you stopped.
Absolutely. Which is why they don't ban it, but yet they're banning vaping.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really advocate it. I've never been a smoker. I don't like the smell particularly. Hey, whatever. Horses for courses. You do you. But to watch a group of people in this country being extorted for $20 billion thereabouts annually,
on top of
and it could be some years it might be only 15 billion that we're extorting, but you're in the ballpark of 20 billion with a B, and the argument there is, but there's such a drain on their health system.
Well, if it's that bad,
20 billion, not even close at all.
If it's that bad, make it illegal.
And we all know how that worked in prohibition in America, right?
This is the whole thing.
You cannot ban consenting adults from doing things they want to do, as we saw recently, as in today. If they want to do cocaine, doesn't matter if you're an Olympic athlete, you're going to go and do it. It doesn't matter if it's illegal. People are going to do that shit.
Yeah.
Cigarettes, marijuana. Look, well,
isn't it funny? It seems like organised crime have basically moved away from marijuana into tobacco because there's more margin.
More margin, and technically it's a legal product. So if you walk up with a carton of cigarettes, you're not going to have a stream of people come in going, that's a drug, blah, 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 blah. All you've got to do is get past the fact that you've knocked them off.
Yes.
And you haven't paid the tax on them, and you're there.
Yeah.
There's no extra stigma to that. People can buy that shit and move on. It's every time a government bans stuff like that, people are going to get more and more of it. Prohibition in America was the best example of what happens when you ban that shit.
Yeah, there were a hell of a lot of people made a hell of a lot of money.
Oh, millionaires. Meyer Lansky, Lucky, Al Capone, they made fortunes. Yeah. All off the back of shooting the shit out of some prick with illegal moonshine. And, here we are, we can go down to Woolworths and buy it. So they're just extorting us sideways without as many guns. But the cigarette, the crime mob's having a ball.
Yes.
They're making money hand over fist off the back of bad policy, shit planning from government for a sin tax. And this is going to sound, again, arrogant, never been a smoker. But statistically speaking,
the paternal government who's going to save us from ourselves.
Oh, for sure, because we know
they're going to put a sugar tax on, they're going to put a fat tax on, they're going to put,
I'd like to put a government tax on. Fuck off.
Yeah.
But here's the other side of it. Statistically speaking, it's a higher percentage of people in low income households that take up cigarettes.
Yes, and there's also a high proportion of people with mental health conditions.
Correct.
So they really are kicking the shit out of
the shit out of the people who are struggling most in society, going, you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, that guy who has lost his job, lost his arm, and has taken up smoking for whatever pleasure it is,
and he's addicted to it.
And he's addicted to it, and we're going to rape and pillage that guy because his life's not shit enough. And that's what it is. It's another example. And again, people go, but they do really good work. Yeah. For every really good bit of work that our government overlords do, they're raping and pillaging somebody to the side. And you think about the smokers, people. I'm not saying that everybody who smokes is poor, because there are some people who quite enjoy it, whatever. None of my business. I don't care. But statistically, you look across the demographic of people who are smoking cigarettes, overwhelmingly, it's people who are
lower
socioeconomic or lower working class. I'm working class, but you know what I mean. That's what it is. And the people who are good, quite often are more affluent, and they go,
and quite often don't smoke.
Well, that's right, and they don't smoke, and it's. You know, these people are adults who choose to participate in what's arguably a legal product. And this isn't a PSA to take up smoking. This is a PSA to say the government's got to stop raping and pillaging people.
We'll just stop kicking the shit out of the poor bastards who can't defend themselves.
They're having a tough enough life as it is, you know, like, and that's the only reason I got in the political space. It was nothing to do with wanting to be elected. I just like bullying bullies. I've had a cupful of them over
a subject that came up last night, and this is another one of those ones where legislation or lawmaking can't catch up with what's happening on the streets.
Yeah.
Where we've got a situation now where medicinal cannabis has been authorised for use.
Yes.
And yet the tongue swabs that they're doing at roadside drug testing
will still pick it up.
Are still picking up, even though people aren't suffering from the high or any of the effects of it, because it still shows up in their system.
It's got the CBD, not the THC.
48 hours or 74 hours later or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And these people are then being further victimised. You know, so here these people are trying to find an alternative treatment because the standard treatments don't work.
The opioids
They've been prescribed this as a medicine, and now they're getting the shit kicked out of them. You know, so I don't know how, but the lawmaking hasn't caught up with that side of it.
The lawmaking never will. The law really needs to be right out of it. And again, people go, "Oh, you just want to legalise all drugs." Well, I'm a non-drug taker.
This is a situation where if you're impaired, you shouldn't drive.
Sure,
but there should be some discretion.
But the law should be no, you know, you can't drink or drive a motor vehicle. But if you're wanting to smoke marijuana in your home, you should be no, you're not hurting anybody. Nobody's damn business. So making it illegal to drink alcohol while driving makes sense. I get it. To be illegal to be on drugs while driving a vehicle, sure.
Yeah.
But to turn around and say to free consenting people that you may not use cocaine. Now, I've never used that either. I'm crazy enough. I do not need this shit. No stimulants required here, baby. But if you can give me one good reason why a consenting adult shouldn't be allowed to snort as much cocaine off a toilet seat as they so choose, I'm yet to hear a solid argument for it.
Well,
it's bad for the health. Hang on.
If they can go out to a bar and get shit carded on high-priced gin or cognac,
extremely highly taxed alcohol, yes. Or they can purchase cigarettes to the tune of 20 billion a year. If they can eat McDonald's until their heads explode, which we all know that's barely food. And I can't see any reason why consenting adults.
A lot of these products used to be legal.
Absolutely.
Or weren't controlled.
Yeah.
But
was the world a better place or a worse place? I wasn't around for that. It was before my time. But again, and then on the other hand, I don't think I've ever seen a drug dealer turn around and say to a cocaine user, for example, you must take this cocaine. Stick that up your nose now, or you're going to lose your job, lose your house, lose your family, and we're not going to let you go anywhere or do anything. Where's your pass?
I think if you asked the majority of coppers, would you rather have to go and throw someone in the back of the paddy wagon who's stoned or on ice?
Sure.
Like all you'd have to do would just be get a packet of twisties and put a little trail of twisties, and the stoned person would get in the back of the divvy van and just say, "You got any chocolate?"
but look, we had a serious issue from 2019 till very recently, until Dom came out like a hero today, saying that those mandates were wrong. So for 4 years, the government was mandating people take an experimental drug.
Oh, that was
and then on the other hand, that same government has the audacity to look at consenting adults and say you can't use cocaine
or recreational, something,
marijuana, or whatever you like. I don't really care.
Even to the point where kids are going to go to a festival, they're going to
take pills,
but sure. They won't put pill testing on.
I don't want the government putting them there either. But I think if the festival organisers want to and fund it and go, we'd like to have pill testing.
Yeah, we don't want to see.
We know these kids are going to pop pills whether we tell them no or not. Yeah. We're willing to fund a pill testing unit at the front. I see no problem with that, particularly when, on the other hand, we've watched the last 4 years of governments putting a proverbial
that idea that You can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. And the kids just go, well, watch me.
Of course.
Yeah.
And every kid known to me, I'm not sure. I think I made the comment to somebody today that I think the kids these days will probably tell their grandkids stories about what they watched on YouTube back in the day. Like some of these kids are lacking in life adventures and whatever, but
they do seem to have lost a lot of the inquisitiveness that tended to
it's kicked out of them. It's the little zombie effect. It does my head in. I like when my kid gets in a little bit of strife. And if you're watching, Ryder, that's not a license to fucking go nuts. But I like it when some mischief happens because it means they're out there and they're doing things and they're
finding out the boundaries.
That's it. He's got a good little group of mates, and they're all little outlaws to a point, which is fantastic. Because the kids call it NPCs. I don't know if you've come across that term. Non-playable character. In the computer games, you got to walk past. There's always the same whatevers. And it's like they're trying to turn all of society into these NPCs. Just get up, go to work, do what you're supposed to do. It just fries my brain.
Organic robots.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's it's pretty wild. But look,
we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, we've covered a heap of stuff tonight. Really, we have random as shit, but it was fun.
No, but it's good. It was good to see something as relevant and directed to come out of ICAC. Wouldn't it be nice if the OLG came out with something and said, don't weaponise codes of conduct in the same fashion? I don't think we're going to see anything as sensible come out of the OLG in that space.
Tell you what, if I do run on council, if I do it, they're going to have codes of conduct falling out our asses, and I'm not even going to read them.
They're going to have to.
I'm going to ignore them. I'm just going to be like, I don't care.
They'd have to put a code of conduct.
It could be
conductor. They'd have to put a conductor.
They'll be a new job.
A conductor for the codes.
Employee wanted. Yeah. Some asshole that can file codes of conduct against this prick all day long. Yeah. That could be all right. But no, I mean that's a positive. It'd be nice to see a lot more of it. It was really great to hear about the open minds.
Yep. Come on next week. Next week we'll know who's on the list. We'll know the starting list because the nominations close at midday next Wednesday. Okay, no second chances. Midday next Wednesday, you'll have your paperwork in because I'll have lodged it. I'll have forged your signature.
Yeah, fair enough. I hereby solemnly declare that if Anthony Irvine forges my signature on this shit, I won't be mad.
No. So we'll know all about that. We'll have a little bit of info there. Next week, I'll be fresh out of a council meeting.
Yes,
so I'll be in a completely different headspace.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll be a different person, but we'll be here and we'll have some really hot off the presses. Much fresher, and it'll be much fresher than what these guys can deliver with their one a week.
Well, this is where they get half their info, these blokes. But again, if you like what we're producing here, great. Like the channel, share it around. I know some people have been sharing it via Messenger because that doesn't actually show up on the. I know people are trying not to be seen to be seen. I get it. It's a hairy time. But like it, share it, talk to your friends about it, tell them to tune on in. It's cruising between that 300, 400, 500 views on every, across all the platforms, which is kind of interesting and kind of funny.
If you want to watch it while you're sitting in a council meeting and they're talking about something boring, just put your headphones on or your earpods in and just tune in.
But check out Dean and Irv Spin Doctors. We'll be back next Thursday, 7:30 till I don't know about now, give or take.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great week.
Keep smiling.
Always.